Most people enjoy eating good food. After all, food is a necessity for humans to live. But around the world, there are some foods that do more harm than good. From clams that bleed to fruit that makes you puke to death. This is LatestFix, and in today's video, we're going to be running through the top 10 most dangerous things you can eat. Number 10. Blood clams. You don't need to sleep with anyone to get hepatitis if you choose to eat blood clams in Shanghai. Most clams lack hemoglobin, which is the protein molecule that makes our blood red. However, blood clams do contain hemoglobin. This is what gives them their gruesome, red, oozing appearance. More importantly, this makes them susceptible to the same blood diseases as humans. Blood clams, if raised and harvested correctly, are harmless, but the dangers come from the environment in which they are raised in. These clams are most popular in areas with particularly filthy water, making it easy for the clams to pass on diseases. Although blood clams are considered one of the more delicious delicacies of China, the style of preparation in Shanghai involves a process called quick boiling. This process leaves bacteria and viruses present, including hepatitis A, hepatitis E, typhoid, and dysentery. In Shanghai in 1988, over 300,000 people became violently ill from consuming these clams, and 31 people died. It is estimated that there is a 16% chance of catching infection after eating blood clams. Number 9. Elderberries. Elderberries are enjoyed by a lot of people around the world, so you're probably wondering how they can be dangerous. Usually, the berries themselves are perfectly safe to consume. Because of this, elderberries have been included in everything from medicinal products to homeopathic remedies. They are also a very good berry for making jam. Although most are safe, elderberries that are eaten before they are ripe or properly cooked can be harmful. Raw, unripened elderberries can cause diarrhea and seizures, which make them specifically a risk to the young and elderly. The leaves, twigs, branches, roots, seeds, and flowers of the plant are highly toxic, containing large amounts of cyanogenic glycosides. Sound familiar? Cyanide? This chemical releases cyanide into the body when ingested, so if any of those elements wind up in the berries, you can expect your day to get a lot worse. If you see these berries in the wild, it's best to leave them alone. Number 8. Pufferfish. You know those puffy round fish that inflate and get all spiky? Those are called pufferfish, but in Japan it's known as fugu and is a very popular food. This delicacy is luxurious, but it's also a high-stakes gamble. The intestines, ovaries, and liver of fugu contain a chemical called tetrodotoxin, a potent neurotoxin that is said to be 1,200 times more deadly than cyanide. A lethal dose of this poison is smaller than the head of a pin, and one fish contains enough to kill 30 people. If a chef leaves the smallest amount of this chemical in the food, there is little chance for the consumer to survive. Their mouth would first get numb, followed by paralysis, and eventually death. Due to these risks, Japanese sushi chefs must undergo 2 to 3 years of training before getting a license to handle fugu. This expertise raises the price of the dish to over $200. But if the health risks can't stop the Japanese from eating fugu, neither will the price. People of Japan still consume over 10,000 tons of this fish every year. Number 7. African bullfrogs. While many parts of the world would never think of eating frogs, other parts of the world think frogs are delicious. Frog legs are a delicacy in different areas all across the globe. However, in Africa, some people eat African bullfrogs, and they don't stop at the legs. The entire frog is eaten, and this is where the dangers come into play. The consumption of the whole frog happens all throughout Africa, but it's most common in the country of Namibia, where it is called ifuma. The frog's skin and other organs contain harmful toxins that could cause kidney failure and even death if ingested. Interestingly, a young frog who has yet to mate is far more lethal than an older frog, so it's important to avoid eating the African bullfrog before mating season. Number 6. Nomura's jellyfish. Nomura's jellyfish is a large species of jellyfish capable of growing up to 2 meters in length and weighing up to an astounding 440 pounds. Though considered a dangerous and invasive species in this fishing industry, it is still consumed in places like Japan, where it is considered a delicacy. Typically, jellyfish meat is safe to eat as long as you don't eat the wrong parts. But with Nomura's jellyfish, you cannot just remove the toxic parts. You have to cook the meat thoroughly. You cannot, under any circumstance, eat the meat of this jellyfish raw. Doing so would expose you to toxic levels of the jellyfish's nematocyst venom. Typical envenomation results in itching, swelling, pain, and inflammation, but ingesting this venom will lead to a very painful death. Despite the deadly nature of this jellyfish, it can be prepared safely with proper training. Number 5. Cashews. Pretty much anyone without a nut allergy has eaten a handful of cashews at some point in their lives. When you buy raw cashews at the store, they aren't raw. They're actually cooked nuts. Real raw cashews contain urushiol, which is similar to the chemicals found in poison ivy and poison sumac. Eating one raw cashew straight from the tree won't kill you, but eating enough of them can cause painful irritation, which could result in death. So the danger is there. Fortunately, steaming raw cashews will remove the toxicity, which is the reason we continue to enjoy cashews all around the world. Number 4. Kaistar Haukat. Most people wouldn't find eating strips of fermented shark very appealing, but the same cannot be said for the people of Iceland. Kaistar Haukat, or simply Haukat, is a traditional Icelandic dish made from the meat and skin of the Greenland shark. The problem with this shark is that it lacks both a kidney and urinary tract. Because of this, the shark filters its waste through its own skin, which contains high levels of uric acid and trimethylamine oxide. Outsiders describe haukat as one of the worst, most disgusting things they've ever eaten. In order to make this food safe to ingest, it must be hanged and fermented for 6 to 12 weeks to remove the risk of passing on any illnesses derived from the animal's natural waste and toxicity. Although it's typically safe to eat, haukat is arguably disgusting and can make one sick on occasion. Death can only occur if the meat is not properly fermented. Number 3. Ackee. You won't be able to find the national fruit of Jamaica in just any supermarket. It contains a poison called hypoglycin. Ingesting the fruit before it has a chance to ripen fully will lead you to the hospital if you're lucky and the morgue if you're not. The fruit's dangerous levels of hypoglycin can cause severe vomiting. This has come to be known as Jamaica vomiting sickness. This kind of vomiting can become so frequent and horrifying that people can die from it. Nobody wants to die from vomiting too much, but it does happen on occasion. Fortunately, the fruit can be eaten as long as you know when it's safe to do so. The seeds are always toxic, so you never want to swallow them, but the flesh of the fruit can safely be enjoyed. But this is only when the fruit has naturally burst open. If you eat the yellow flesh beforehand, it will result in Jamaica vomiting sickness. Rarely, the condition can become so severe that a person can experience convulsions, delirium, toxic hepatitis, shock, and coma. Ackee fruit intoxication has led to a number of deaths over the years. There were 29 cases identified in 1988 and more than 50 in 2001. Number 2. Live octopus. Typically, people don't eat live octopus. They eat a recently killed octopus, which is a popular dish called son nakji. This popular yet very disturbing delicacy found in Korea is a small baby octopus that has recently been killed. Even after the octopus has been killed, the tentacles continue to wiggle, and when they come into contact with sesame oil, they violently jerk about, making the dish look as if it were alive. Some find it fun to eat, but it's also incredibly dangerous. The problem with eating parts of an octopus containing suckers has to do with the fact that those suction cups still work when the tentacles are twitching. Swallowing it is a challenge, and while some connoisseurs get off on the sensation of having their food crawl up the back of their throats, many people die when their airway is blocked by a struggling tentacle. It's estimated that as many as 6 people die every year from attempting to eat the delicacy, which makes it one of the deadliest items on this list. Number 1. Cassava. You might not know what cassava is, but you've probably eaten it at least once in your life. The tropical root crop is where tapioca comes from, so if you've ever eaten tapioca pudding or tried boba tea, you've enjoyed a product from this plant. Fortunately, eating the plant is perfectly safe, as long as you don't do it while it's still raw. If eaten raw, it will almost certainly poison you, as raw cassava contains a toxin called linamarin. When linamarin enters your body, it converts into a deadly form of cyanide called cyanogenic glycoside. Cassava plants are regularly processed for human consumption, and those products are perfectly safe. However, in less developed parts of the world, where the crop makes up a large portion of people's diets, quick processing can result in toxic cassava. It has killed people numerous times over the years. In 2005, toxic cassava resulted in the deaths of 27 children at a Philippine school. To properly process it, the roots have to be peeled, boiled, dried, soaked, and rinsed. Raw cassava should never be consumed, as it will certainly kill an average person. Thanks for watching. If you've tried any of these foods, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. This is LatestFix, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!